start off, fascinated to get your perspective on. I mean, you were here last year. We saw you at the ballpark. What have you made of this Texas Rangers run?
I mean, as being someone who was part of the organization back in the day in 2003, and not only in the new facility, but the fact that they brought in Bruce Bochy and Chris Young, you see the results right away. I mean, this is an organization that now is poised to win, but not just from last year, but to continue on reinvesting. They got some good experience from talk about Seagers and Simeons, and also DeGroms and Scherzers who have come through. It's a lot of fun to watch, and just to see that this team knows how to score runs. And I think with Bruce Bochy at the helm, he's so creative in figuring out ways to win. So this is the place to be right now.
Do you feel this team could be just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than last year?
Well, it's always more dangerous when you have that experience and knowledge. I think that's the fun part, that they know how to weather certain experiences. Their bullpen struggled at times. They came up big in September and moved on into the postseason. And then you realize, like, oh, we can do this. So now that they have that knowledge and that confidence, you kind of eliminate a lot of the doubt. So that's what makes them scary. Now, baseball, tough sport. No matter even you believe in yourself, no matter how much experience, you got to do it on the field, and injuries, things start to pile up. But they have a certain kind of calm to them because now they have the expectation.
And I'm very curious, just your perspective of a young guy like Wyatt Langford, who, you don't see guys like that come up that quickly too often. Just what are your impressions?
I mean, I was impressed with, I did early game, first game of the year actually against the Cubs, and just the calm. You see a young player that's so calm at the plate, understands the zone, doesn't try to do too much, knows how to pull it back and say, let me get the base hit. The maturity, that's been impressive, and everyone who saw him through spring training knows the damage he can do when he gets hot. So it's a vote of confidence to see him in the 3-hole in the middle of the lineup in a team that won the World Series the year before. That says a lot.
And also, you see a guy like Evan Carter who, almost gets forgotten now at times with all the prospects. But just what have you thought of Evan too? Because that was an impressive World Series and playoffs last year as well.
Similar idea that he's, the calm that he brings. The left-handed batter, understands the strike zone, always had that discipline, and he was able to bring that up to the major league level. So you can see the upside, right? He pulls the ball a lot, at least last year. Now he's kind of like, okay, I can do these other things, start to spray it around a little bit more, play defense, run. The sky's the limit for this kid. It's just like he's already doing it at the major league level. So you have that combination of Carter and Langford, and then you add the veterans that have this type of productivity. You have a great team.
And not the best start for Houston, but a lot of baseball left. Just your impressions of these Astros. They're still a dangerous team too, right?
Oh yeah, you better take them seriously. All right, this is world champs. A lot of the same players. They're sort of getting adjusted, and their bullpen hasn't been what they expected. Some changes there, and so they've got to kind of figure that out if they're going to be successful. But I don't count them out because a lot of the core players are still able to produce. And you talk about top 3 of the order. I saw the Dodgers with Betts, Ohtani, and Freeman, but when you deal with Altuve and Alvarez, these guys are nasty in their own right. So you never sleep on the Astros.
And, we were just talking with David Cohen over there. I'm just curious, do you have, because we've seen Bieber go down, we've seen Strider go down now. Do you have a perspective on the whole Tommy John thing? Is there a reason why it may be occurring more from your perspective?
Well, I think there's a lot to learn about it, and I trust that they'll continue to dive in and try to understand more. There's certainly swirling things around, pitch clock and usage and max effort and all these things. Maybe it's all of the above, but I think they have to sort it out with patience. But you never want to see anybody go down. You don't want to see that, especially when you think of iconic pitchers that are always faced with these injuries all the time. Shane Bieber, Spencer Strider with the MRI and the injury there. Those are concerning for the game because these pitchers are tone setters that are important to the game, to the fans, and you want everybody to be in a position to be healthy. And we know pitchers it's a high-risk profession, but you don't want to have it more high risk than necessary because of injuries.
And take you back in time a little bit. Rangers, you mentioned it. Phillies, Cubs. What are some of your best memories or playing, and just maybe with some of those ball clubs? What sticks out to you?
Well, fortunately, I have a lot of memories. I got a chance to play a long time, and certainly when I first got called up, I mean, it's hard to forget that. 1996, June 9th, as a Cub, going to Wrigley Field, one of the storied stadiums, and get a chance to play in a lineup of guys that I watched as a kid, right? So that set the tone. But I also remember the 2003 playoffs and getting a triple in the postseason after I was in Texas in the beginning of the year that traded me at the trade deadline. And then Philly was awesome for me because I was a Phillies fan growing up, and I got to see all these players, some of which I grew up loving as a fan, and they became my coaches. That was hard to believe. Greg Gross and Larry Boa and Gary Maddox was mentoring, seeing Mike Schmidt, Steve Carlton. So I think the generations of baseball, I've been fortunate to kind of see not only as a kid, as a fan, as a college player, then as a professional, then later as a broadcaster. It comes full circle, and it's great to see a lot of these iconic figures, players that I was fans of, still around the game.
Well, since you brought it up too, I got to ask you this since I got you too. Just the Phillies, how do you feel about just their World Series aspirations? Because they feel like they've been close.
They are really dangerous, and they've been very close. So last year the Diamondbacks got them in 7. I still think they're one of the teams to beat. And unfortunately for the Braves, they had the big injury with Spencer Strider. That does accelerate the chances of the Phillies because you lose an ace, that hurts any team. But the Phillies are extremely talented. In the end, I think they're going to show they have a deep bullpen, they have a deep starting rotation that many don't have, and they have a lineup that's just getting better, it seems. Bryce Harper, it just goes down the list. And when you get like a Whit Merrifield type and add some pieces, you're like, okay, they got it all covered. But most importantly, they seem to be willing, when the trade deadline comes around, to add pieces if necessary. That's often the X factor to propel a team into that postseason.
Well, I really appreciate the time, and keep up the good work.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.